Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're getting into some really fascinating source material. It's all about something we navigate every single day, how we connect, really connect, and succeed with people.
Exactly. You can think of it like boosting your PQ, your interpersonal intelligence. And the great thing, the really encouraging thing from this material, it's not fixed.
Right. Not something you're just born with.
No, absolutely not. It's a skill. You can even say it's a science, something you can definitely learn and get better at.
So our mission here is to pull out the key insights, the actionable techniques from this stuff. We want to give you practical hacks, things you can use to make those connections better, stronger.
Yeah. Whether you're meeting someone totally new or, dealing with those tricky interactions we all have sometimes.
It's kind of a journey we're mapping out.
It really is. We'll start with those first moments, first impressions. Then, how to spark conversations that actually go somewhere.
And then digging deeper.
Right.
Understanding what makes people tick.
Uh-huh. And how vulnerability fits in, how stories connect us. And finally, how to handle difficult people and just see the bigger picture of it all.
Okay, let's dive in then. First encounters. Because, man, how many times do potential connections just sort of fizzle out right at the start?
So often. And the material makes this great point. Success starts before you even walk into the room. It's about preparation.
Preparation. How so?
Well, it talks about identifying your locations. You have thrive locations, places you feel energized, confident.
Okay.
Then neutral ones, which don't really affect you much. And then survive locations. Those are the ones that just drain you.
I know those.
We all do. The idea is, if you know this, you can consciously try to be in your thrive spots more often, especially for important interactions. Maybe avoid the survive zones if you can. It sets you up better.
That makes total sense.
Yeah.
Taking your environment. And when you do enter a place, like an event, the material warns about some common traps, like the start zone trap.
Yeah, that's when you just kind of linger right by the door.
Guilty. Sometimes feel safe there.
It does. But think about it. People coming in are often a bit anxious, looking around, trying to get their bearings. They're not really primed for a deep chat right then.
So trying to connect there feels awkward.
Often, yeah. They're distracted. Then there's the other one, the side zone trap.
Which is?
Immediately finding the people you already know and sticking with them.
The safety huddle.
Exactly. It feels comfortable, but the material says it's like building a wall around yourself. It's surprisingly hard to break away from that group later and meet anyone new.
Okay, so if the entrance is bad and the corner with friends is limiting, where do you go? What's the sweet spot?
Well, the suggestion is to look for spots where people have kind of settled in a bit, like near the exit of the bar area.
Oh, interesting. Why there?
People have their drink, they've navigated the initial entry rush, they might be scanning the room or open to chatting, they're available.
Gotcha.
And it also gives this example of Shai Truman. His sweet spots weren't in the main crowd at all. He found quieter spots, hallways, smaller rooms. It's about finding your best place, not just the best place.
Right, tailoring it. Okay, so you're in your spot, you see someone, first impressions, we know they matter, but the science here is kind of intense.
It really is startling. Some research cited suggests we make up our minds about liking someone, trusting them, believing them in as little as 2 seconds.
2 seconds, seriously.
Seriously. And the kicker is, apparently our brains don't like to revisit that initial judgment much. We tend to stick with it.
Wow. Okay, so those 2 seconds are critical, and it's not just what you say, is it?
Not at all. It's much more about how you present yourself nonverbally. That leads to this really practical hack they call the triple threat.
Triple threat. Okay, what is it?
It's consciously using 3 things. Your hands, your posture, and your eye contact.
Hands, posture, eye contact.
Yeah. Think about the example of the conductor, Harold Remmerite. His confident posture, clear hand gestures, it instantly conveyed competence and built trust.
Or those top TED speakers.
Exactly. They nail those opening seconds. They use their body language, their gaze to connect with the audience before they've even gotten deep into their topic. It bypasses the initial skepticism.
Makes sense. And the material dives into the science behind 2 of those, the handshake and eye contact. Why are they so powerful?
Well, the handshake, that simple skin-to-skin contact, it can actually trigger oxytocin release.
The bonding hormone.
The bonding hormone, yeah. It's a very basic, primal way to signal connection and start building trust.
And eye contact. We hear about it all the time. But is there a sweet spot? Like how much?
There seems to be. Eye contact also boosts oxytocin and signals you're engaged, sincere. The research they mention points to aiming for about 60 to 70% of the time during a conversation.
60 to 70%. Okay.
Yeah, less than that, and you might seem uninterested or even shifty. More than that can feel a bit intense or intimidating.
Right, finding that balance.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've used the triple threat, made a good first impression. Now, the conversation itself, the material really throws shade on typical small talk.
Oh, yeah. It calls it a kiddie ride.
Huh.
You know, predictable, not very exciting, easily forgotten.
Uh-huh. Okay. So what's the alternative?
Big talk. That's the goal. They compare it to Space Mountain.
Space Mountain, like thrilling.
Exactly. It's got anticipation, it's memorable, it takes you somewhere interesting, it builds connection.
So why does big talk work better? What's the science say?
It's about novelty and genuine engagement. When a conversation is interesting, unexpected, it lights up the brain's memory centers like the hippocampus and the pleasure pathways, dopamine. So the conversation feels good, it sticks in your memory, and it makes both people want to connect more.
So if how are you or what do you do are the kiddie rides. What are the Space Mountain conversation starters? Give us some examples.
Well, the material actually ranks questions, the standard greetings, very low response rates, predictably.
Yeah.
Better options are things like, what was the highlight of your day? Or what personal passion project are you working on right now?
Ooh, I like that one.
Or even just a simple open-ended, what's your story? These invite much more personal, engaging answers. Even something like, how's it going? Tends to do better than just hello because it prompts a bit more thought.
You're asking for something real, not just a reflex answer.
Exactly. And tied into making conversations better, there's this super simple but powerful thing about using one specific word,
Which is?
their name.
Ah, yes. Dale Carnegie stuff, right?
Classic, but the science backs it up. Hearing your own name activates unique parts of the brain, areas linked to self-awareness, memory, even pleasure, in a way other names don't.
Interesting.
Yeah, they share this story about Jeffer, a tour guide, who made a point of quickly learning everyone's name. It created this instant bond with his groups because it showed he saw them as individuals.
It signals, I see you, I value you. Okay, so great first impression, check. Sparked a real conversation, check. How do we then, go deeper, really understand the person? The material presents this in layers, starting with reading emotions.
Right, specifically micro-expressions. This draws on Dr. Paul Ekman's work.
Micro-expressions, those super fast facial flickers.
Exactly. Tiny, involuntary expressions lasting just a fraction of a second. But they often reveal an underlying emotion someone might be trying to hide or might not even be fully aware of. And they're universal.
Universal, wow. So what are some cues? Like how do you spot, say, real happiness versus fake happiness or fear?
For genuine happiness, the key is the eyes. Look for the crinkling at the corners, the crow's feet. A smile without that might not be fully felt.
Gotcha. The Duchenne smile.
Right. For fear, you often see widened eyes, raised and pulled together eyebrows, maybe horizontal lines across the forehead. Seeing these gives you a quick glimpse into their actual emotional state, even if their words are saying something else.
Okay, but spotting them is one thing. What do you do with that information? If you see a flash of anger, for instance.
That's the crucial next step. The material suggests seeing it not as necessarily directed at you, but as a sign of agitation about something. It might be a cue to pause, maybe explain something more clearly.
Okay. What about surprise?
Surprise often means they didn't know something you assumed they did. Like the story where someone mentioned their engagement, saw surprise flash on a friend's face, and realized, oh, they genuinely didn't know.
Ah, so it's a cue to clarify or provide context.
Exactly. And seeing something like disgust might mean they're uncomfortable or holding back their true feelings about a topic. It could be a signal to gently probe a bit more to understand their real reservations, like the job candidate example showing disgust about a specific duty.
Okay, microexpressions give us the immediate emotional temperature. But for their deeper nature, the source talks about personality, right? Speed reading personality, using the big five.
Yes, it frames it like solving their unique puzzle. The big five traits are openness, conscientiousness, extroversion, agreeableness, and neuroticism, ocean.
Ocean, right.
Understanding roughly where someone falls on these five spectrums gives you a really useful framework for predicting how they might behave or react and how best to interact with them. They mention Richard Nicolosi at P&G using this to build more effective teams.
So how do you actually do this speed reading? Is there a hack?
There's a three-step process suggested. First, know your own Big Five profile. Understand your defaults.
Okay, self-awareness first.
Absolutely. Second, try to quickly gather clues and make an educated guess about the other person's profile.
Just ask them.
You could. Sometimes just explaining the model briefly and asking works, but usually it's observation. Are they talkative and energetic in groups? Probably higher extroversion. Is their desk super messy or perfectly organized? Clues about conscientiousness. Are they excited by new ideas? Openness.
And what else?
The material even mentions looking at, like, their Facebook profile or other online presence. Apparently, those can often give surprisingly accurate hints about real personality traits, not just the image they want to project.
Interesting. Okay, so know yourself, guess their traits. What's step 3?
Decide how to adapt. Based on the likely differences between your profile and theirs, do you need to compromise your style a bit? Or can you optimize the interaction by flexing your approach to match theirs better?
Like the example with Eva.
Exactly. The author realized the communication breakdown was happening because they were interacting based on their own preferences, not Eva's likely traits. Once they adjusted the approach based on Eva's presumed matrix, things smoothed out.
So knowing their likely traits helps you tailor how you communicate, how you persuade.
Precisely. Like the example of crafting that email to Sarah for the campaign role, knowing she was likely high on openness, neuroticism, conscientiousness, and agreeableness allowed the sender to hit all those points, highlighting innovation, addressing worries up front, emphasizing structure, framing it collaboratively. It makes your efforts much more effective.
Okay, so we have micro-expressions for emotion, Big Five for personality. Is there another layer to understanding people in this material?
Yes. The next layer discussed is appreciation languages. This builds on the work of Dr. Chapman and Dr. White.
The 5 love languages, but applied more broadly.
Kind of, yeah. It's about how people prefer to give and receive appreciation to feel genuinely valued. This applies in professional settings just as much as personal ones.
So the 5 are words of affirmation, quality time, receiving gifts, acts of service, and physical touch. How does knowing someone's primary language help?
It's huge for making people feel seen and valued, which builds stronger relationships. If you know someone's primary language is acts of service, helping them with the task will mean more than just saying good job.
Right, and if it's words of affirmation, that specific, sincere praise really lands.
Exactly. And it avoids misunderstandings, like the story about Layla and her friend both cared, but they felt unappreciated because they were speaking different appreciation languages. It also helps you ask for what you need to feel valued.
Makes sense. And the material says don't just do the basics, add some spice to appreciation.
Yeah, make it less generic, more memorable. Instead of a standard gift card, think personalized gifts. They mention Leslie Knope's amazing gift giving, or Jim's teapot for Pam full of meaning.
Love that example.
For quality time people, don't just grab coffee, do something interesting together, like the triathlete friends suggesting a walk or run.
Right, active quality time.
Or creative acts of service, a personalized care package, offering specific help you know they need. It shows you really thought about them.
Okay, these layers are building a good picture. And the final layer the source gets into is someone's primary value.
Yeah, this draws on resource theory. The idea is that everyone is fundamentally motivated by certain resources. The main ones are love, status, information, money, goods, and service.
Love, status, info, money, goods, service.
Okay, and the theory is most people have one of these that acts as their primary driver. It shapes their decisions, what they desire, what really motivates them underneath it all.
And if you can figure out someone's primary value,
appealing to it is supposedly a super powerful way to connect and influence, basically get along with almost anyone.
how do you figure it out?
Observation again. What do they talk about most passionately? What kinds of questions do they ask? What seems to really light them up or drive their focus?
The examples here were really strong.
They were. Boyd Vardy at that Landalozzi Game Reserve, tailoring the guest experience based on their values, making Martin feel like an adventurer by emphasizing the status aspect of the elephant encounter wasn't just luck, it was reading his likely value.
And the email to Matt for the campaign role.
Right, it wasn't just asking for help, it appealed directly to his likely values of information, talking about the critical data and status putting him in charge, tailoring the pitch to the person's core driver.
Okay. Wow, that's a lot on understanding people. Now, shifting gears slightly, how do we build that deeper connection, that rapport? The source highlights vulnerability and stories. Let's start with stories.
Stories are presented as a kind of connection shortcut. They bypass our logical defenses and engage us emotionally. They create that, oh, me too feeling.
Like the Beanie Babies, giving them stories made them huge.
Exactly. Or the author finding that sharing personal stories was way more effective for fundraising than just presenting facts and figures. Stories create empathy and buy-in.
And there's a framework for this, the story stack.
Yeah, it's a simple three-part approach. 1, identify common trigger topics, things that often come up in conversation. 2, develop short, relatable, sparking stories linked to those topics. Keep them brief, like under 3 minutes.
Okay. Trigger topic, sparking story. What's 3?
Prepare boomerang questions.
Mhm.
After you share your brief story, have a question ready to toss the conversational ball back to the other person, showing you're interested in them too.
Nice. Keeps it balanced. And how do you make the story itself good? Engaging.
Another 3 steps here. Start with a hook, something to grab attention right away. Then champion a struggle, introduce a challenge or obstacle that makes you relatable and builds interest.
Hook. Struggle.
And finally, use provocative words, vivid language, sensory details that bring the story to life. They point to Susan Cain's TED Talk structure as a great example of that hook struggle pattern.
Okay, that makes sense for stories. Now, vulnerability. This part felt counterintuitive. Making mistakes makes you more likable.
Yeah, it's fascinating. They cite research like the coffee spills study. A competent person who made a small blunder, spilled coffee, was actually rated as more likable than an equally competent person who didn't mess up.
Why?
Because it makes you human. We connect with people who seem real, who aren't perfect, who make mistakes just like we do. It lowers barriers. Think about Post Secret. That whole project thrives on shared vulnerability, creating connection.
Right, Frank Warren's project. So
Yeah.
how does this translate into a practical hack? There's the Franklin effect.
Yes. Benjamin Franklin observed that asking someone for a small favor often makes them like you more.
Which seems backwards.
Totally. But the reasoning is asking for advice or help is an authentic act of vulnerability. It shows you don't have all the answers. It also gets the other person talking about something they know, sharing their expertise, which people generally enjoy. It signals you value their opinion. And bonus, you learn more about them, helping you solve their matrix.
So it serves multiple purposes. How do we actually be vulnerable appropriately, though, without oversharing?
The material gives practical tips. Simple things like admitting when you're wrong, asking for forgiveness, being okay saying, I don't know.
Humility.
Exactly. And especially asking for advice, but advice you genuinely need. Don't fake it. The anecdote shared, like bonding in a bathroom line after admitting being lost, or making that CNN connection by admitting confusion at a conference. They show how small moments of authentic vulnerability can really open doors.
It builds trust quickly. Okay, last big section. Handling difficult people. This is always tough. The material offers a different perspective, though, right? Not just labeling people as bad.
Yeah, it suggests that often difficult behavior isn't necessarily malicious. The person might be emotionally hijacked, maybe by fear, what the source calls their gremlins.
Gremlins, huh?
It touches on the brain science, the fast, fear-driven low road bypassing rational thought versus the slower high road. Someone stuck in that low road fear state isn't thinking clearly, they're reacting defensively.
Making connection almost impossible in that moment.
Very difficult. Which leads to the strategy they offer, the nut job hack.
Nut D-job. Okay, what does that stand for?
Name the emotion, understand the root cause, transform the situation.
Name, understand, transform. Okay, break that down.
Naming the emotion is key. Acknowledging what they seem to be feeling without judgment. Using phrases like, you seem really upset right now, or are you feeling frustrated about?
So you're validating their feeling first.
Yes. That simple act can often de-escalate things because they feel heard. Then you can try to gently understand the why behind it, the fear, the unmet need, and only then can you work towards transforming the interaction. The focus is on understanding, not immediately fixing or changing them.
That's a big shift.
Yeah.
But the material is realistic too, right? This doesn't always work. Some people are just toxic.
Sadly, yes. For those situations where empathy isn't reciprocated, where the relationship is genuinely harmful, it provides steps for setting firm boundaries, essentially saying no.
What are those steps?
It's a three-parter again. Eat humble pie, acknowledge any good or effort on their part first, if possible. Then, no hemming and hawing, be direct, clear, and firm about the boundary. And finally, set a consequence, state clearly what will happen if the boundary isn't respected. It's about protecting your own well-being.
Okay, so that covers the tough stuff. Stepping back now, looking at the big picture. Why is all this important? How does it tie together?
Well, the material points to research on attunement, Popular people, likable people, aren't just lucky. They're often highly attuned to others. They notice things, they understand different perspectives, they actually enjoy figuring people out.
So it's a skill again, and it connects to reciprocity.
Absolutely. When you show genuine interest in someone, when you signal enjoyment in their company, even just by smiling, which is surprisingly powerful, it encourages them to reciprocate, you create this positive upward spiral in the interaction.
Like attracts like, in a way.
In the behavioral sense, yeah. And ultimately, this all ties back to a fundamental human need, the need for belonging, right out of Maslow's hierarchy.
Ah, belonging. Makes sense.
Using these skills helps us connect better, understand each other more deeply. It helps ourselves and others feel more accepted, heard, valued. It fulfills that core need.
And curiosity is key throughout.
Huge. Like Dan O'Reilly, turning a painful experience into a lifelong quest for understanding. If you approach interactions with genuine curiosity, wanting to understand the other person's world, their puzzle, that drives everything. Even the difficult stuff becomes a learning opportunity.
So wrapping up this whole deep dive, the core message seems really empowering. Succeeding with people isn't magic.
Not at all. It's a science, a set of skills you can learn, from nailing that first impression with the triple threat,
To having big talk instead of small talk, using sparkers and names.
to decoding people through microexpressions, personality, appreciation, values,
Building real connection with stories and vulnerability.
even handling difficult moments with the NUT Job hack. These are all tools, techniques drawn from the source material that you can actually use.
And the material really emphasizes agency, right? You're in the driver's seat.
Totally. You're not just subject to whatever social situation you're in. You get to choose how you interact, how you build connections.
So the challenge for everyone listening, based on this deep dive, pick one thing, just one idea we talked about.
Yeah, maybe it's practicing that 60–70% eye contact.
Yeah.
Or trying one of those conversation sparkers next time you meet someone.
Or maybe trying to consciously guess someone's primary value or appreciation language. Just pick one thing this week and try it out. See what you notice.
And maybe a final thought to ponder, something that really comes through in the material. The more you genuinely focus on understanding and valuing the people you interact with, the more you approach them with curiosity.
The more likely they are to reflect that back to you.
Exactly. And that shift, that focus on mutual understanding and value, really can fundamentally change your experience of the world and the people in it.